But I absolutely love your tagline, and it might get edited out. We'll see. But I love your tagline. It's I'm here to shake shit up.
That's it. We're
So
shaking shit up.
I absolutely love that. So I definitely want to hear about that for sure. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of John Has Trust Issues, where we discuss issues relevant to zero trust and authorization in a few minutes and a whole bunch of other security topics. My name is John Martinez. I'm the security barista and technical evangelist here at StrongDM, and I really like coffee. So I have with me today the honor of having Mariana Padilla. Mariana, how are you today?
Oh, I'm so thrilled to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week. So just super excited to chat today.
That's awesome, and I have so been looking forward to today. So I just right off the bat, I just want to I really like your tagline. I mean, you are the CEO of HACKERverse, so we do the HACKERverse, so we do want to hear about the HACKERverse for sure. But I absolutely love your tagline, and it might get edited out. We'll see, but I love your tagline. It's I'm here to shake shit up.
That's it.
So
We're shaking shit up.
I absolutely love that. So I definitely want to hear about that for sure. But yeah, I'm thrilled to have you. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody in the audience, and especially my question here. I've already prepped you for this. Your trust issue as well, because we all want to hear about your trust issue.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Hello, everyone. Again, Mariana Padilla, co-founder and CEO of HACKERverse. In a previous life, was a marketer, started my own marketing agency. But the HACKERverse essentially is working to solve the cybersecurity sales problem, which I think is where my trust issue lies. And so the reason this HACKERverse started was because my co-founder it has been in cybersecurity for a very long time, 30 years. So my running joke is since the inception of cybersecurity. And so he is a sales engineer by trade and discovered that some of the products that he was selling for a large MSSP didn't actually work. And so my trust issue has to do with that. I think that the way that cybersecurity is funded, the way that venture capital operates in cybersecurity, means that the end users are not the priority. The priority is revenue. Which I guess should not come as a surprise. But, we do ourselves a disservice as an industry when we play by those rules. And I think it's really unfortunate. And I think we've forgotten who we are as an industry, and that at the end of the day, we are selling peace of mind. And that's what we should be providing. And we shouldn't be, sacrificing and putting out shitty products into the ecosystem or half-baked products. Right. And so that's my trust issue.
Yeah, awesome. I really love how you're addressing the experience, right? The experience of the buyer, right? And the really at the end of the day, the user, right? And I think there's a certain synergy with us, and a little bit of a commercial for StrongDM, but we do tout also frustration-free access, and so that's a big thing, right? Because it's the security products and user experience don't have to be mutually exclusive, right?
No,
they
can
actually work. Although we have this misconception in our industry that, oh my God, security products have to be like so hard to use, right?
We love gatekeeping in this industry. Are you kidding me? We love it.
Right. So let's get right into it. You've been on a tear recently. I love looking at your LinkedIn, every morning when I wake up. I absolutely love, like some awesome new thing you're doing, or, some award you're getting. I absolutely love to see that. But let me ask you the existential question, and you talked about it a little bit. Why cybersecurity?
Yeah.
It's an interesting world, right? Especially with your background, and we'll get into your background, but why cybersecurity?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I guess it was one of those twists of fate type situations. I took a hard right into sort of cybersecurity for marketing. But I met my co-founder, and really this whole thing started because I had experienced the challenges of purchasing enterprise software through my marketing agency. I
Mhm.
call it the existential dread of clicking on the talk to sales button. You
Right.
know what's going
Right.
to happen. You're going to be
Yeah.
hounded. You're going to be on someone's
Right.
email list for all of time. Even if you unsubscribe, they're going to call you. They're going to text you. All of these kinds of
Right.
things. And there were many times that I was onboarding clients into CRM software or automation software or whatever it was that,
Yeah.
all I wanted to be able to do was say, is this the right product? I want to touch, feel, use. I
Right.
don't want to have to put
Right.
in my credit card. I don't want a limited version of the platform. I want to know
Mhm.
if this is going to work. I want to
Right.
test it out with
Right.
my client and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when I met my co-founder and he told me about his vision for a platform of a future where you could essentially
Mhm.
try before you buy
Mhm.
with software, I got it
Yep.
immediately.
Yep.
Obviously, like I said, he has a long background in cybersecurity, sales engineering, and so we're starting in cybersecurity
Mhm.
because I think there is a huge demand for
Mhm.
something like
Mhm.
this in
Yeah.
cybersecurity. I can't say that I've met one single person who is happy with the way that products are sold,
Mhm.
either on the
Right.
consumer or on the vendor side of things.
Right.
And so it initially started out, I came on board as an advisor, was doing some marketing work, and then just got really, really engaged with the mission,
Right.
which, as I mentioned, is ensuring that we are providing peace of mind as an
Mhm.
industry. So I guess let me take a step back and give a
Yep.
little bit of overview of what we're doing. So
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
use AI to build proof of concepts for cybersecurity
Mhm.
vendors. What's
Right.
really, really unique is we can do that in a matter of days, creating these sandbox environments that emulate production environments and simulate
Right.
attacks. And then we host those on our platform. So CISOs, MSSPs, anyone who's evaluating cybersecurity tooling could come in and do self-service product
Yeah.
evaluation. Um, and so I really just immediately saw the vision for that and was blown away by the fact that, products continue to be bought and sold
Mhm.
on reputation or blind trust or
Right.
because the
Right.
value added reseller has some sort of backroom deal.
Right.
And if you follow along with me on LinkedIn, you know that I have a little bit of a bent for being a social justice warrior or justice
Right.
warrior in general. And so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really bothered me that an industry that's so critical to so many has so many problems.
Right. Right.
And so I just got really, really engaged in the mission and haven't looked back since. I would also say that, I spent some time in nonprofit, and I think there's a lot of overlap in the mentality of people in nonprofit and the mentality of people in cybersecurity, where we are driven by a cause to protect, the digital world, all of that kind of stuff. And I
Right.
am very much someone who needs to feel a connection to the mission and a passion for the work that I'm doing. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm just going to be a terrible employee. So I really love it. I love the people
Yeah. Yeah.
in cybersecurity. I love the
Right.
mission. I love all of it. So here we are.
Right. Yeah, so I remember when when you first caught my eye. It was on LinkedIn, and you were doing your Black Hat, your guerrilla style interviews over at Black Hat, right? And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this is like so awesome, right? Like you're out there, I mean, you're really getting into the community, right?
Yeah.
Into the attendees at Black Hat. I just recently went to a sector, which is Canada's version. I mean, it is Black Hat, just
Yeah.
the one in Canada, as I
Canada.
kept telling people up there.
Canada.
But it is, I mean, it is a certain, yeah, exactly, right. But it is a certain it's a community, right?
Yeah.
Just like a lot of other communities, and it's different in that, yes, we all have this singular mission of, like what you just said, right, is to
Yep.
protect people's digital lives, right?
Right.
Really at the end of the day, right? So, tell me a little bit about kind of like what do you love about the security community?
Yeah.
How have you fit into the security community, and where are you going from here in terms of your community, the community side of security?
Yeah, no, absolutely. A great question. Yeah. The thing I always say is that, unlike any other industry I've ever operated in, I think it's a
Mhm.
lifestyle.
Mhm.
DEF CON is a cultural
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Right. So people live, breathe, and exist in security, and so I
Yeah.
think we have been able to really tap into that. And my co-founder knows this, and he's been going to DEF CON for
Right.
ages and very
Right.
much tapped
Right.
into the ethical hacker community.
Right.
And so that's been a very big part of how we have grown HACKERverse. We have a Discord community.
Mhm.
We have a brand ambassador program, and it's very much been Leveraging a lot of the tactics that consumer brands use,
Hmm.
to their benefit. And I think
Hmm.
B2B brands have really not been able to leverage well, which is unfortunate. And I made a
Right.
post a while back about how I actually hate the term B2B, because at the end of the day, you're still selling to a human being within that
Right.
business.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Of
really
course.
don't like that terminology. And so I think the more we can understand to remember that, and leverage
Yeah.
community, the more successful we're going to be. I always say that humans are constantly looking for connection, and the internet
Hmm.
has provided a new outlet for finding that,
Right.
connection, finding our tribe. And the better you're able to form those human connections and help people find their tribe, and if you can do that for your company, the more successful
Right.
you're going to be. I always say that the hill I will die on as a founder is that community led growth is the
Right.
future for all marketing, for all business building.
Right.
Some people may scoff at that, but I'll prove you
Sure.
wrong. um,
Love
yeah, I mean, in terms of the community, I think I've been very lucky to tap into a group of folks, much like yourself, who are very much committed to making the space more equitable, inclusive, and creating a cybersecurity community that looks more like the world around us.
it. Hmm.
And so I think that's part of the reason why I felt so at home right away, is just
Hmm.
because people have embraced me with open arms, despite me
Right.
maybe not having the most traditional background for running this type of company. Which, I
Love
mean,
it.
there's a conversation to be had there about
Right.
why I think it's really helpful. But yeah, so and I'm looking forward to contributing to that in my using my own
Yeah.
platform. And I really try to, open the door for others who can join the space
Yeah.
with me.
I love it. But so I am, to your point just a little bit ago, I am going to ask you next about your background, right?
Yeah.
And kind of like, so you've been a marketer, you've
Yeah.
been in marketing and all of that cool stuff. So, tell us about, I mean, my specific question is, and of course you can, expand on it, but, my specific question is, what makes cybersecurity marketing unique,
Hmm.
from your vast marketing experience?
Because it's done so poorly right now.
I love it.
It's done
I love
so poorly.
it.
Obviously, it's a very technical industry,
Right.
without a doubt,
Right.
and that's totally fine. But I think that the problem is, and I mentioned this earlier, talking about gatekeeping, we use so
Mhm.
much gosh darn jargon.
Mhm.
And then like one company has success, and everybody tries to pile on the bandwagon. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to be freaking CrowdStrike. I remember, like, I went to a conference and picked up, like the handouts from like 10 different cybersecurity
Mhm.
companies,
Mhm.
took a picture, blacked out the name of the company. You couldn't tell the difference between any of them. It was the same colors, it was the same font. It was like this. I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
if consumers can't tell the difference between
Right.
you and your 5 nearest competitors, like, how are they able to make a good choice? So
Right.
I think there's a challenge in, what am I trying to say here? Being a sheep and kind of just going along and doing what everyone else does.
Right.
And
Right.
I think we really need to radically change how we communicate about the industry, internally and externally.
Yeah.
Making the case internally for cyber budgets, making the case externally for what it is, and make it more accessible. We've doubled down on fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and I just don't think that that's an effective way of doing things.
Right. Right. And I really like the way you put it earlier in your previous one of your previous things that you said. Right. Was they're humans at the end of the day. Right. It's
Right.
not just this nebulous ICP, right, that we're trying to sell to. Right. There's an actual human there. Right. That's
Yeah.
going to make that you need to reach out to, that is going to make the buying decision, the most important part of that transaction, right? The decision to buy and all of that. And I really absolutely love it. We talked about the Hackerverse, and you gave us a really good description about what you guys do. I do have a question though, kind of stemming from that. We just established, that the cybersecurity market is full of jargon, and and you just talked about, like, and I don't disagree at all. Like every booth at a conference almost looks the same,
Yeah.
right? So as the CEO of the Hackerverse, how do you make the Hackerverse stand apart from your
Mhm.
competitors and other companies in kind of a similar space as you guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just start with my tagline. We're shaking
Touche.
it up.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just like ingrained in my nature. I came out of
Yeah.
the womb like ready to march in the opposite direction of everyone else. I don't know
Right.
a better way to explain it. But like, when we were coming up with our brand ethos, like if we are revolutionizing the way that people buy and sell cybersecurity products, we should not have a website with those cartoon people on it doing
Yeah.
those like holding a giant pencil or like
Right.
whatever it is, or like some sort of nebulous networking background of like
Right.
blue, like the blue networking background that everyone in cybersecurity seems to
Right.
have on their website. And so we have doubled down on having a very disruptive brand. We use a lot of neon. It's very cyberpunk. And that was
Right.
like something Craig and I bonded on very early. One of our favorite shows collectively is Altered Carbon. And I was like, if we can make it
Yeah.
look like Altered Carbon, we have won. So for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, go watch the
Yeah.
show and then you'll understand. But so we agreed on that very early. It was one of those very much like kismet situations where we met, we hit it off, we started working together, we bonded really quickly. He is also, since the very beginning, like we need more women and people of color in cybersecurity. Like our ethos matched. So it's been a very easy relationship, which I don't think we're very, very lucky to have that. But that's been since the beginning. We needed to be boat rockers, and so
Awesome.
we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a skull logo, and it's actually one of
Look.
the things that I hear a lot. I do a lot of virtual coffees, which I'm sure we'll talk about
Mhm.
too. People are like, "Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I love the brand. I see it. It's
Yeah.
so different
Yeah.
on LinkedIn." And so if we
Yep.
can get you to stop even for a second from the endless scrolling and be like, "What is that?"
Right.
We've won, right?
Right. Absolutely. It sticks out. Well, in my case, what stuck out is you chasing people at Black Hat with your microphone.
I know,
No,
right?
but absolutely. And our viewers that are watching us right now, I mean, they're watching us because I am a huge fan. You mentioned it, the kind of the cyberpunk color schemes and, that kind of stuff. So our podcast here is, I use the cyberpunk color scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to match exactly. So
I
I
love it.
absolutely love it. So I also saw in your background that you've been in education before as well. So I kind of have an interesting question for you in that regard. So kind of in jest, right? What's the difference between middle schoolers and security people?
I saw that. The first thing that comes to mind is that collectively we love shiny objects.
There you go.
Like, oh, it's a new thing. It's a new category of software, AI. Also attention spans, and I think maybe a lot of
Right.
us in cybersecurity also tend to have really bad ADHD.
Right.
So that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw that question.
I don't know what you're talking about. What'd you say? Yeah. So tell me on the subject. I know we laugh, right? But is education still a big part of who you are, and kind of bringing up the next generation into cybersecurity and that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely it is. And so I can kind of tell everyone about my evolution. So spent some
Mhm.
time in education, really enjoyed it, came to realize that there were a lot of external challenges facing these kids that I was never going to
Mhm.
overcome in the
Mhm.
classroom. And so moved into nonprofit, realized that many nonprofits are totally non-functional and very backwards and very
Right.
much like this is the
Right.
way we've always done it, and that makes
Right.
me want to like bash my head against a wall. And so but again, being very mission driven, eventually ended up here. I think
Yep.
the kind of unifying factor in all of that is storytelling. The better you can tell a story, the more successful you are going to be, especially with students. But definitely, I think that we need to start. There's conversations about, pipeline into colleges. Like, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
no. We need to get like elementary school kids engaged in
Mhm.
this. We need
Yeah.
coding for kids, like, fifth grade, sixth grade. We need the talent pipeline to be starting in middle school. And we need to
Yeah.
be tapping into these communities, historically underserved communities. And we need to get
Mhm.
rid of degree requirements.
Yeah.
Like our adversaries across the world are not like filling rooms full of people from like, well, went to
Yep.
University of Michigan or who went to
Yeah.
Stanford. And
Yeah.
diversity of thought, diversity of opinion really matters when we're
Mhm.
talking about the security of an organization.
Mhm.
And so we've really missed the boat on that. And it, I think, honestly, is a vulnerability that we
Mhm.
can't afford to overlook anymore. So if we can, have a patch that vulnerability with talent from East LA or
Yep.
south side of Albuquerque or the
Yeah.
Navajo reservation or wherever they're coming from, like absolutely. So that was something that Craig and I and my co-founder also talked
Mhm.
about, like once we're funded, we're profitable,
Mhm.
we really want to be making a difference in our own right,
Yeah.
starting those programs, bringing in talent into the company from these communities, partnering with other organizations.
Mhm.
And so that's very much on our roadmap as a company. So any investors listening, fund us so we can get there.
There you go. Love it. I love it. So I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. Going back to the jargon comment that
Yeah.
we that we made earlier. And it is part of the show, right? So it's a core part of what we talk about. And the question is one that if I talk to 100 CISOs or security professionals, I get
Yeah.
100 different answers. So I am curious about your take on this. What does zero trust mean to you? And it can be
Yeah.
as nebulous or as specific as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind is least privilege access, ensuring that
Mhm.
I work with small business owners who still text me their
Right.
passwords, and I'm like, Jesus, for the love of God, stop it! Like, don't give me access to all of your YouTube. Like, don't give me all of this, and just trust and verify everything,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think it's the basis for all cybersecurity and how we should be operating.
Right. Which, by the way, yeah, and I love your passwords comment that and I get it, and I've been to many conferences where I've been on the side where that I'm in a booth, right, and I'm talking to CISOs and things like that, and the one, and I'm going to give out the little secret here for everybody. When you make a security professional comfortable and you're one of them,
Yeah,
right, they talk to you about what their
right.
vulnerabilities are, kind of what's worrying them, what's keeping them up at night.
Yeah,
So it's again going back to our discussion on community, right? Absolutely.
right.
So in on the passcode thing, coming back to that, I interviewed. We have a kids interview episode
I love that.
that we just recorded, and it should be out by the time we publish this. But I asked one of the kids, like, if you had a secret portal that you can go somewhere, what would be the password that you would put on it? And like almost without hesitation, he was like bacon. I was expecting like numbers or something like that, but
Dog's
his
name.
password was bacon.
It's bacon. It's great.
Yes.
It's
So yeah,
great.
absolutely, they will tell you their password.
It's great.
Holidays are coming soon, and
Yeah.
and it was that time of year, and I think I heard Mariah Carey at least once
Oh
already.
gosh. It's
Right.
begun.
So, what is Mariana's favorite holiday tradition coming up?
Yeah, I know. I loved this question. So, northern New Mexico has some really great traditions that trace their roots back to,
Mhm.
to Spain. We do
Mhm.
the Luminarias, aka
Mhm.
Farolitos, whatever you want to call
Mhm.
them.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
a great
Yep.
contention between what you call them, apparently. So we do the
Right.
Luminarias on
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. We do it the old
Mhm.
fashioned way. We don't have
Mhm.
the light version. We do the bags
Uh-huh.
and the sand and the
Yeah.
candles, and we put
That's
it
cool.
out. That's
That's awesome.
one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
I also am a big fan of Thanksgiving. Obviously, we need to acknowledge the colonial impact and
Mhm.
lies told about
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, but
Right.
it
Right.
is I really do enjoy
Right.
gathering with family and just taking the
Mhm.
opportunity to be together and appreciate each other as human beings, I guess. So those are
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
two favorite
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I think if I was to tell you about my two favorite thing, it's tamales and champurrado. I think those
Ah,
are.
okay. Yes, I love tamales. Those are I do love, and we do tamales and pozole on Christmas
There
Eve.
you go. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. I want some now. I'm gonna call mom right now.
My uncle used to make the most fabulous homemade tortillas, and like my dad doesn't make them. He goes down to the little shop down the street,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
they were amazing. So
Yeah.
also very fond memories of that. You got to make it with
Love
lard. That's the secret.
it. That's the secret. Yeah.
That's the secret.
So, so for our audience, if you're watching, definitely put in the comments, put what your favorite holiday traditions are. We'd love to hear about them. So we've been laughing, for a bit now. But in your job, in your day to day, when you get up, I have two questions, right, that go hand in hand with each other. Number one is, what gives you joy in your job? And the converse of that, right, or the inverse of that is, what keeps you up at night?
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, I think a lot of it revolves around building community with all sorts of people. I do
Mhm.
virtual coffees. That's how we met. So I'll just reach out to people on LinkedIn that I'm really enjoying their content, or they
Yeah,
seem like they might
yeah,
have some interesting
right.
perspectives, and see if they want to do virtual coffee. I always say and promise, and never. I'm like, I won't pitch you, and I never once have. And I think you have to be very clear about that. People in cybersecurity are,
Yeah,
you know,
totally,
on
totally.
edge about that.
I know,
Uh,
I know.
but it goes beyond that too, because like I think building community, as we've mentioned, you're from a sales perspective, from
Mhm.
a customer perspective, from all of those things. The more you know people and have a better relationship, the more successful you're going to be, right?
Right.
So it's very fundamental to really how I approach business. I think, and on those virtual coffees, being told by CISOs like, this is amazing, this is incredible, this
Right.
will really really help me and my team and our job, and
Mhm.
feeling like we are really solving an issue in the cyber community that desperately needs to be solved.
Yeah.
I think is, a really incredible opportunity. Love leading my team, where I'm very
Mhm.
lucky to have a team that's been with us for about 2 years
Mhm.
now, all
Mhm.
of whom like working for equity until we get funded. So that, I guess,
Got it.
they tells
Yep.
you something about how committed they are to solving the problem. I would also like to think
Awesome.
that they like me enough to stick around.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I faced is, and keeps me up at night, I guess this is very pertinent to where we are right now, but it's
Mhm.
just like, how do we balance, as I kind of was knocking VC funding at the very beginning of the show,
Mhm.
how do we balance wanting to be a VC backed company with ensuring that we are able to keep our moral compass?
Right.
Um, I think we're going to be able to close our funding round very soon. I'm very confident about that. Yeah, good. Yeah,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
conversations are progressing, and it's been very, very important to me since the very beginning that we
Yeah.
are very choosy about who we bring into the company. The wrong investor can absolutely kill a company,
Right.
especially if, like us, we have a very strong mission and moral compass about how we
Yeah.
approach this whole thing. So that's very much top of mind for me right now.
Yeah. Nice. So, I also noticed on your LinkedIn, that you're a storyteller. I think
Yeah.
that's one of your big things, and I absolutely love that you've been telling us stories today. So, tell us a little bit more about another example of a good story you've told,
A good story I've told. Oh gosh. Hmm.
or just your approach to storytelling in general.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the first thing that I love to do is just make people comfortable, and
Yeah.
welcome in a space. And I think
Yeah.
this is, that's how very much how I approach, investment conversations too.
Mhm.
I want to be charming, and I want to
Yeah.
like get them, like the more you
Right.
can like connect with someone on a human level.
Right.
But I think that's the story I'm telling most often right now is the story of HACKERverse, like the why and
Yeah.
the how,
Yeah.
is something that is being told a lot, and just like the getting back to our roots as an industry, right?
Right.
Like, we are here to, provide peace of mind, right?
Mhm.
So that's the story that I want to be told about the cybersecurity industry, not that we were chasing these revenue dollars because VC
Right.
was telling us we needed to reach this,
Right.
ARR number. And so
Right.
along the
Right.
way, we sacrificed our morality and started selling shitty products
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the story that
Yeah.
I want to be told
That's cool.
about
That's awesome.
cybersecurity.
That's awesome. So everybody here that's watching John Has Trust Issues, you heard about it here. When you remember Mariana and the Hackerverse, love it. So again, you've had a vast and varied career. What's the accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Oh, what is the accomplishment I'm most proud of? I feel like I had an answer for this. I think just being honestly, like, I'm really proud of being able to come into cybersecurity 2.5 years ago and now be at the place where I'm at, where I have a large community of allies and supporters.
Right.
Obviously, I'm very hopeful that the Hackerverse will be funded, will make a huge impact, will change cybersecurity sales. But like, if things for some
Mhm.
reason go sideways and that doesn't happen, I think that I'm enough of a known entity in this space that I would love to
Right.
continue being in cybersecurity for the rest of my career. So I think I've successfully made a career change.
Yep.
Like I said, a hard
Yep.
right off the hard right exit into a space that I didn't really know anything about, and have turned out to absolutely love it. I think one of the things is I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a very naturally curious person, and cybersecurity
Right.
is the perfect place to be because
Right.
there's always something new to learn. And like I mentioned, the mentality of this is the way we've always done it. If you operate like that in cybersecurity, you've lost. So
Yeah.
like, it's a perfect place to be where everyone's
Yeah.
constantly innovating.
Yeah. And it's not as dark as would be portrayed in like TV shows like Mr.
No,
Robot or something like that,
no,
right?
no, no, no. That we're not
Just
all wearing
despite
hoodies in the corner,
despite me wearing my black hoodie here, now that you mention.
hacking in the corner with our hood on, with our masks. And if you ask
So
AI about hackers or cybersecurity, that's always what comes up. And just some like
right.
dystopian like computer with long cords that look like an
Yeah,
octopus,
yeah,
like, very, very much back to what we were talking about. Altered carbon is very
yeah.
much.
Right, right. So for everybody, I mean, I am really wearing my black hoodie because it's cold in my house, and it's like I'm in California, so it's 50 something degrees outside. That's cold for here.
It's warmer here. It's like almost 70 in the Midwest.
um so you touched on this, and your path into cybersecurity. What advice would you give to somebody that's watching us today? You had a non-technical entry into
Yeah.
cybersecurity. What advice would you give about someone wanting to get into cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a lot of different avenues that you can explore. First of all,
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
everyone wants to be a red teamer. That's what they think about when they think of cybersecurity.
Right.
Uh, but there's obviously a lot more to it. You can be an entrepreneur, you can be a blue teamer, you can be a purple
Yep.
teamer, you can be a GRC, you can be like a SOC analyst. There's just like a whole bunch of different things, that
Right.
different opportunities that you can pursue. The thing that I am very much known for, not, I guess not surprisingly, is networking, because that's been a very key to my success. Obviously, I think virtual coffees are a huge part of that. But you really have to put yourself out there. And the thing that I say is, for such a highly technical industry, you have to be able to build those human connections,
Mhm.
because it's an industry that relies on trust, not only digitally, but
Absolutely.
human trust.
Yeah.
So they need to know you in order to hire you and promote you.
Yeah.
And if you're
Yeah.
not going to ISSA meetings, or like
Yeah.
involving yourself in the local cybersecurity community, or going to conferences, it's going to be a much harder road to hoe, I guess is what I'm trying to say, than
Right.
if you just get involved. And, I think the other thing too is like, having very much like a give first attitude. I always
Mhm.
ask on every call, like, how it can be helpful. Is there anything I can do to
Sure.
be helpful? So if you take that approach, people are going to be much more receptive to, asks of them in the future,
Mhm.
and you will just leave a very like positive, lasting
Right.
impact in their brain. Oh yeah, that was the person who, they made those connections without asking. They did this stuff. They were super helpful. I really like that person. So networking is key. If you're in the Cincinnati area, next week is Queen City Con. I will be presenting on networking and cybersecurity. So come see me
Love
talk.
it.
I guess this is probably going to come out after Queen City Con, but you can ask me for the recording.
They can follow you on LinkedIn about how that turned out.
Yes, there you go. I'm sure there
Absolutely.
will be a post.
So anything else? So you plugged Bay City. What was it? I'm sorry again. Queen
Queen
City
City
Con.
Con, yeah. So
Queen City
Cincinnati is known
Con.
as the Queen City.
Got it. Got it. That's awesome. Anything else you want to plug? Any awards coming up for the Hackerverse or yourself or anything like that?
Um, yeah, so the end of the first week of December, we'll be wrapping up our TechStars program. So
Mhm.
we'll have demo day, which is going to
Mhm.
be great. So keep posted on that. I'll be in New York next week, which is in November. I'm doing some fundraising. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of the big things. Just follow along on LinkedIn for the
Yep.
latest updates because I'm
Yep.
perpetually on LinkedIn.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. I absolutely love it. To your point on networking, right? I mean, that's definitely where to start. That's just the beginning of it, right?
Right.
And yeah, and really, so thank you, Mariana, for being with us today. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure. And I'm so glad we were able to meet and I'm so glad to have you in my universe.
Absolutely, absolutely likewise. And I do thank you, to your point earlier about your virtual coffees. I am absolutely a huge believer on virtual cafecitos as well. So I'm glad we made that happen. And if you want to reach out to Mariana, you're watching this and you want to have a virtual coffee, what's the best way to reach you, Mariana?
Definitely LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn backslash here to
Yeah,
shake up.
there you go. Love it. We'll put her LinkedIn link into the description of our episode today. And again, thank you so much, Mariana, and thank you everybody for watching. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye. Whoa! How did I get into this little box here? John Martinez, your security barista here. Hope you enjoyed this episode of John Has Trust Issues. Make sure you like and you subscribe to the StrongDM channel to get more relevant content like interviews, like more John Has Trust Issues episodes, like product walkthroughs for StrongDM, etc. And you can see all that by subscribing and liking our content. Thank you very much.